We're in the dark. There's no question about it.
There's so little information available.
And most of it we're not privy to.
They expect you to be over it. Everyone else starts to go on with their lives, and then suddenly it hits you. This really happened. So you're just beginning to process it when lymphedema sets in.
You break your bone, you get it fixed, and then you move on. But with this,
Here's the thing, when you get a mastectomy, the lymph nodes attached to your breast tissue are removed. That means we're left with this bodily sewage that pools in our arms.
and when in the hell does it end?
The end result is that we always feel like we have the flu 24/7. This feeling of fogginess never goes away because our bodies are constantly fighting the effects of all this poison trapped in our arms.
You just want to get back into life.
Sometimes, though, it takes a long time.
It's a process. Sometimes I'd be just lost, but kept going anyway because I was emotionally fragile, I think. At that point, I didn't have much left to give. You know, I needed some help. So I'm feeling kind of diminished because I really felt broken. So when I started to think something was wrong and I asked for help, it felt like this empty, I felt like I was not seen. It was,
Yeah, just go home. It'll be all right. Come back when you have something to measure.
my thumb was bigger and I knew something was wrong. Something was happening, but it wasn't being addressed, at least not by the person I was referred to. So my doctor was kind to me and she referred me to somebody else. But that was another one of those dismissive events.
You'll be all right. Go home.
I felt like I would go down one road and try to get somebody to tell me something and, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, dead end.
So I would go back down another avenue, but there's this big gaping hole, incomplete, and searching to find, you know, the wholeness again. You've got stories, you've got no hair, you're different now. Can't wear jewelry on this side anymore. Your life changes, changing wardrobes, changing how you represent yourself. Fixated on my arm. Bridle. Watch.
Golf clubs. Gardening gloves.
Suntan lotion. Sexy top.
Backpack. Baking sheet.
With lymphedema, there's such a long list of things you can't do anymore.
I have to give up gardening, unless I'm in bubble wrap.
I'm terrified of getting a burn.
I'm nervous in the barn.
For me, it's mosquito bites. You have to be so careful. Anything could cause an infection.
Someone said to me, "You're handicapped now."
Trapped. That's how I feel, trapped in this body.
At times, I only feel like half a woman.
I've had 2 infections. It's grown both times and not shrunk, and I do have some anger about that. But you know what? I don't even usually think about it. I just put on my sleeve and go about my business as usual.
My first infection, I couldn't get an appointment. So I decided I'm going down to the cancer center. I just had such horrendous pain, and I sat there hour after hour, waiting, seeing this red streaking. Ugh. It was getting close to my hand, and I thought, what the hell?
What it is the panic, and it's underscored by the fact that if it gets worse, you have no recourse. You have nothing to turn to, and that bothers you. So you become hyper-vigilant.
Well, I was in a store downtown in a changing room, and then I cut my hand.
So did I. I snagged it on a tag.
Well, it was bleeding, and I made them show me to a washroom, and I'm sure they thought I was being very dramatic because they didn't realize. Okay, I thought, if you wash it really well, you're not going to get an infection every time you break the skin.
But I got an infection from a sliver. You just don't know. Even though I have the most excellent doctor in the city you could find, I'm sure she doesn't know about this. Really, she said to me,
Well, just put your arm up whenever you feel this.
And this was your oncologist?
no, my GP. They don't know. When I had my car accident, I was put into an ambulance, and the nurse was about to put an IV into my arm.
Okay, let's get this IV into your arm. Now you just take a breath and...
No, you can't touch this arm. Can't you see the sleeve on it? It's for my lymphedema.
Oh, well, what is that?
And this was a nurse in the ambulance. She had never seen it before. Didn't know what it was.
After I went through finding of the sleeve, I went to see my oncologist who said,
Oh, and what did you do to your arm? Did you burn it?
and this was my oncologist.
My oncologist was the first one who informed me. He said,
Beware and notice.
you do become hypervigilant.
It's frustrating though, this breast cancer. It's constant learning and making decisions, and I feel so fatigued from that. And then you get this lymphedema thrown at you, and it's like, oh boy. You're supposed to do this exercise for this and that exercise for that, and you just go through a phase. You say, I'm going to ignore it and hope it goes away. You just don't want to face it. You go through different stages. Why the hell is this happening?
No one understands.
I can't get anybody to listen to me.
Where's somebody out there who can help?
But
But you do find out that a lot of people care about you.
People you didn't even know, you find out they care about you, really care about you.
it's been a search for me to try and find a connection, to try to find someone who'd been through it. One woman I met who had lymphedema told me to tell jokes.
come on.
Tell a joke, try it.
Get yourself laughing.
Yeah, tell jokes, laugh. I think we should allow ourselves to experience our emotions, of anger and fear and frustration, and move forward from there. So when someone says to me, tell a joke or be positive, it's like denying that. It makes me mad. I'm not usually a mad person, but
So this cancer survivor walks into the bar.
Yeah, I know, people can be absurd.
They don't know any better, really. I had one guy actually kind of jump back and look surprised. I think he thought I had an artificial arm or something. He couldn't hide his reaction. He said,
Oh my God, you poor woman.
Another woman was going to shake my hand, but then she pulled her hand back. I thought that was rude at first, but then I figured, oh, she thinks she'll hurt me. So I told her it wouldn't hurt, but she just couldn't handle it. It was odd.
Those barriers, yeah, I know.
An acquaintance asked me about my arm, so I explained in some detail. And he shrugged and said,
Oh well, we all have our little boo-boos.
I could have decked him when he said that.
Well, I'd have kicked him in the balls already.
If nobody wants to look at it, I really don't care. And if someone in the mall says, "What's wrong with your arm?" I tell them I had breast cancer, I had treatment, and I have lymphedema.
If you put a name to it, it seems less scary.
With the arm thing, you could dwell on it every day, but it's not something I want to do.
You want to be like you were before, but the more you want for that, the more you think about it, the more you suffer.
Yeah, but you know, in my mind, I think I'm very lucky in some ways. I walk great, I can do aerobics, I can do almost whatever I want, even though I hate my arm. I've taken to almost calling it bad names: stupid arm, you stupid bloody annoying, frustrating, useless piece of crap.
I've actually been lucky too, and yet part of me says, no, I want to cry about this. I want to be mad about this. I'm kind of in between.
I was lucky enough to find this book, Overcoming the Emotional Challenges of Lymphedema. And to me, it was my Bible. It just addressed everything. You feel betrayed by your body, but she helps you to turn it around and see, wow, my body had to take a lot.
It's easy for them to say, don't do this, don't do that. I can't create my life in such a way that I can only lift some things. It simply doesn't work for me. So I use my arm, I make it work. And hopefully this thing will be okay.
You can either work your arm or baby it. I tend to agree with working the arm.
Swimming is my salvation, but I also rely a lot on yoga. I also have this lovely rebounder that I jump on. I use that thing every day. When my arm gets sore in the middle of the night, I'll jump on it for about 10 minutes.
That relieves the stress and drainage?
I jump up and down and I can almost feel the rush. So yeah, maybe it's a little psychological, but it's easy, and then I can go back to sleep.
Breathing exercises have helped me realize where the tension is. But once you start deep breathing, you realize the tension is everywhere.
I wish I could get to the point where I could fully relax naturally without having to tell myself to.
Yeah, but that takes trust, and trusting is hard when you've had cancer. I find I don't trust myself anymore. I don't trust my instincts, and I don't trust anybody.
You lie down for a minute, and what comes to mind is, oh, I should do some of those exercises, or I can feel it throbbing. What's happening?
Yeah, you're having one of those happy-go-lucky days, and you pull something out of your closet and it doesn't fit, and you think, oh my God, what's happening to me? It becomes almost an obsession.
I don't like the fact that I can't walk into a mall and buy a coat. I'll try on 100 coats, but only 2 will fit.
And if you do succeed in finding something,
Buy it.
Buy it.
Buy it.
buy it.
When you're facing this, you have to open yourself up to anything.
When I went to the Hope Center workshop, the therapist said,
Now, you're not going to get that big fat arm like you see on the internet and in the books, because you're here. You will have the knowledge of how to care for yourself.
I found that hugely reassuring.